activity called investigating living characteristics with indicators. So let's make sure that you guys understand what all of this means. Let me first explain the experimental setup. The experiment, which you can see is on the cart over here, each student will get a beaker, a test tube. Okay. So in your test tube, what we're going to do is we're going to fill the bottom with something called phenol red. That phenol red is an indicator, and we'll talk about that more in just a sec. And then above the indicator, above the liquid indicator, which I'll show you in just a sec, we're going to put a piece of foam. So that the foam will be suspended in the middle of the test tube. And then on top of that foam, we're going to put things, 3 things. Either seeds, that seed will either be dry or wet, one or the other. So one test tube with a wet seed, one different test tube with a dry seed, one test tube with some wet yeast, and one test tube with some dry yeast. One test tube with a live bug, and one test tube with a dead bug. But other than that, all the setups will be the same. So the phenol red will be on the bottom, that liquid indicator that I'm going to show you in a second. And then about 1 inch or 2 up above that liquid will be that foam, suspending that organism above it. And then we're going to cap it, put it in our beaker, all right? And then we're going to let it sit for a couple days to see what happens. And we'll come back to it next week, and we'll be able to figure out maybe some things from it. So that means that we need to figure out what an indicator is. So turn to your elbow partner that you are shouting at from 6 feet apart. Someone to look at. It could be your imaginary friend if you want to talk to that person, right? What do you think an indicator does? You can either ask them or you can tell them what you think. Go ahead and look at someone and tell them what you think. What do you think an indicator does? All right, come back to me. What do you think an indicator does? Yell out what they said to you. It indicates something, right? That's what I always hear, right? And you're right, an indicator does indicate something. Let me give you a little more information, okay? I'm going to do a demo. This is the phenol red in here. Notice the color of the phenol red. I got pretty good lung capacity, don't I? Woo! What did you guys notice? It changed color, okay? That's what indicators do, all right? They're not magic, it's chemistry. So indicators indicate changes in pH. Most of the time, that's what they're indicating. What does that mean for us as far as life, living and non-living, okay? As far as biology. So we'll keep that there for demo. All right. Everybody always says that. I knew you were going to say that. Indicators indicate. So what this particular indicator is indicating is it's indicating that it's becoming more acidic. Okay? So what I was exhaling into that liquid water was making it more acidic. Now, you're still saying to yourself, how does that help me with biology? This isn't a chemistry class, Mrs. Hillmanson. Well, let's get there. So the pH is changed because of the molecule that I was exhaling. Turn to your elbow partner or your imaginary friend and take a guess on what molecule I exhale. Good. You guys come to me knowing that usually, which is great. Carbon dioxide. So my exhaling carbon dioxide caused that pH to change. It got more acidic. Don't worry about why. You'll learn about that in chemistry class next year, okay? But carbon dioxide bubbles cause water to become a little more acidic. Kind of a good thing to know when you're drinking those bubbly, fizzy soda drinks, that maybe the sugar and the acid is probably not so good for your teeth, right? Oh, off on a tangent that has nothing to do with biology, but like to throw extra information your way sometimes. Okay, so what does this have to do with us figuring out what is living and what is not living? Okay? We need in an experiment a way to quantify what is living and what is non-living. Okay? So we need to have a way to document what's going on. It has to be something that is clear and concise. So we're going to choose, for this particular experiment, to use this indicator to help us determine that. Okay? All right. So, on your lab sheet, you see all of those check boxes right there? Before we start, and before I explain any more, I want you to just go with what you think. Because remember, it's okay to be wrong, so don't worry if you don't know 100%. Check in the boxes below what you think is living and what you think is not living. Go ahead and mark those right now.